Hi, and welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and today we have more price predictions with a gifted astrologer and a wonderful lady that has lots of other gifts and training in the psychic realm, Jill Jardine. So you guys can check out her podcast, Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. There's links in the description of this video below. We also have SL369 Crypto joining us with some information from her spirit guides. So we're going to be talking about Mercury retrograde cycle, Bitcoin, and a lot of other coins. So we'll be right back after this quick break. Happy New Year and welcome back, SL and Jill. Great to have you both.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, SL, for inviting me back. Happy New Year, you guys, and Happy New Year to all your listeners.
Hi there. Happy New Year to both of you.
Yeah, I know we have a limited amount of time today and a lot of information to cover. So do you want to, Jill, I know you wanted to cover the Mercury retrograde cycles. Was that something that we should do kind of at the beginning to give everybody an overview, and then we can go into specific coins from there?
Yes, and I'm going to let them know some of the upcoming important dates that will be dates when there will be some shifts in the markets. And I want to thank you guys again for allowing me to come on. I want to remind your listeners, I'm an astrologer and psychic of many, many years. I've read many, many charts during my time doing this, first of all, as fun and a hobby, as a parlor game for my friends in my teens and 20s, and then professionally for, several decades. So when I bring this information to the forefront, it is for people to become informed. And I'm not a financial advisor, and you can even view this as entertainment and take it with what you will. Astrology is a science and an art. So there's particular cycles that we look at, but then the art comes in with the intuition. That's why you can get different astrologers with different information because of how they have fine-tuned their vehicle to work with this energy. And there's also two different systems primarily that we work with, which is the Western astrology, which everybody knows through their sun sign forecast. But then there's Vedic, which I know a lot of the Patreon people are familiar with. So what I'm going to do today is kind of combine the two systems and take pieces from both the Western chart of the different coins as well as the dashas or cycles and sub-dashas that they're in. This is proved to be a system which can be very useful with dates. I do not do price predictions, but there are some powerful dates coming in the next 4 months. And I'm going to have an astrology podcast for the year, well, the first half of 2022. April is a very intense month. And I just want to say that I really appreciate that SL gets all these different input from different psychics, readers, astrologers. I think that's really important. I think it's a huge gift and a blessing to her community to have access to this information from vetted longtime readers and some people who have been doing it enough to really bring their gifts out. So thank you, SL, for that. And your community has a real gift with you giving this offering. So April is really interesting. And I saw Sue Hudd's podcast. I really liked her. I think she has a lot of value to this group. She had really good insights and information. And she said April was going to be a good month. I will defer on that one because, I will not concur on that one because April is going to be a tough month. There's a lot of tough astrology. But let me just go through some of the astrology. People might want to jot this down so they have it to refer to. We're having a Mercury retrograde here in January 14th through February 3rd. And it's a weird Mercury retrograde because it starts in the sign Aquarius. Mercury goes retrograde in Aquarius, which tends to be very good placement for Mercury. In fact, it's there right now. It's 3 degrees in on the 4th of January, and then it's going to backtrack. So it's there from the 14th of January to February 3rd, Mercury retrograde, but it goes into Capricorn. So the first part of it's in one sign, Aquarius, 114 to 125 retrograde, and then it's going to go into Capricorn, January 25th to February 3rd. That's going to complicate things, and people aren't going to get a clear picture on the crypto markets until after the 3rd. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and people are saying, like, why are we getting so much conflicted information? Well, it's because of these things like the Mercury retrograde. Venus, the planet Venus, has been retrograde since the 19th of December and won't go direct until the 29th of January. That's why I have said January is a bit of a washout on many levels. And I predicted that we were going to be going back to like some, COVID clustering, and that, people would get more into, worry and fear again, that there would be something that would show up right around Thanksgiving time. So it's all come to pass. So that's interesting. But I had looked at the chart of January back 6 months ago and saw that it was going to be not a time of moving forward or getting a sense of how the year really was going to be. So the first Mercury retrograde cycle of 2022 is January 14th to February 3rd. So that's up and coming. People need to be aware of that. We're going to break it down some more as we look at coins. Second Mercury retrograde cycle for those planning ahead is May 10th through June 2nd. Weirdly enough, Mercury is going to do the same thing, start in an air sign, Gemini, and then go into Taurus, an earth sign. Third Mercury retrograde is September 9th through October 2nd. Doing the same thing, retrograding in an air sign, Libra first, and then going back to an earth sign, Virgo. And then we actually have 4 Mercury retrograde cycles in 2022, which is pretty unprecedented. There's only usually 3 of them a year, and they're usually 3 months apart, but there will be a 4th one that kicks in at the very end of the year 2022, December 29th, 2022 to January 18th, 2023. So people need to be aware of that. We have the Venus retrograde cycle going on right now, December 19th, 2021 to January 29th, 2022, which is really what's messing with the market right now. Venus is in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn rules business and commerce, and Venus retrograde is stalling all of that out. There's not a lot of forward. That's why we're having the shortages as well. And it was sort of a Debbie Downer Christmas from many accounts with the Omicron and other things raging. So the other thing to be aware of is that we're going to have Jupiter retrograde, which will certainly affect the markets later in the year, July 28th to November 23rd. Saturn's going to retrograde from June 4th to October 22nd. So the reason I'm sharing all this is that these dates, the summer really looks like there's going to be another slowdown as there was this past year in 2021, just merely because we're going to have Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto all retrograde. Four of the basically all the outer planets except for Uranus will be retrograde. So that's kind of that kind of precurses that the summer of 2022 is going to be very similar to the summer of 2021, where there's 4 outer planets retrograde, slowing things down. And then let's go back into this month of January 2022. We've got this planet Uranus that has been retrograde since August of 2021, and it's going to go direct on January 18th and 19th. So the last thing I want to say about these cycles is that I looked at January to find out when there were going to be dates when we would see activity. I know that SL's listeners want to know, when are these coins going to be at their lowest? And I keep getting different information around that. Again, I see a cycle between the 11th of January and 14th where they could go very low right before the Mercury retrograde. And then I see there's a very important date, the 14th, because of Mercury retrograde. So that could be like stalling things a little bit. I don't see things really coming back up again in a bigger way, or in a let's say, a upward trajectory that won't be up and down until after Venus goes direct on the 29th. There's another date in January your listeners need to be aware of, because this is going to be a mixed bag. this could be kind of good, but it could also be, a little bit of erratic energies as well. And that's the 19th. 18th, 19th, because that's when Uranus will go direct on the 18th. So that could start revving things up a little bit. And then the 19th is a very weird day. It's the lunar nodes are going to change sign, which is a big deal in astrology. January 11th to 14th, mark it down. But then we're going to start looking, there's a full moon on the 17th of January. Full moons have proven not to be the best times for crypto. Then there's the Uranus going direct on the 18th of January, which I think give a couple days or a week after that, or even the 10 days until the 29th to really see things starting to rev up. And then the 19th is a weird day of January. And remember, it's 2 months out from that eclipse of November 19th, which started all this. January 19th, the lunar nodes of the moon change signs from, they were in Sagittarius and Gemini for the last year and a half. They're going into, the South Node is going to be in Scorpio, North Node in Taurus, which is all about money. They're going into the money signs. So they're leaving the signs that were more about, rhetoric, and this person says this, I say this. Gemini and Sag has brought all the divisiveness we saw over the past year. First around politics, past year and a half, then over in 2020, and then over vaccines, and everybody thinking they have the right side of the story. I'm very happy to see those nodes leave Gemini and Sagittarius and go into the money signs. Now, this is important for your listeners if they have strong Taurus or Scorpio in their chart. This is going to affect them, and it can be in very positive ways. But generally with the South Node in Scorpio, everybody is going to have to really do their inner work and really transform. And then the payout is the North Node in Taurus. But we're going to see financial markets, all financial markets and economy affected in the next year and a half. It's going to be very different than what we're coming out of now. Just a heads up. Okay, that's my update.
I think that's a great update. That's a lot of information. I know we're trying to get, as much information to the community as we can. We just have an hour, like you said. So that kind of warning or information about all markets, can you repeat that, when that was going to hit, or when we could expect seeing that for all markets?
Yes. So lunar nodes in astrology, they go for 18 months. They're usually in polarities. Like we're just coming out since it was July of 2020 through January of 2022. They had been transiting the signs. Okay. North Node was in Gemini, South Node was in Sagittarius. And that's why, you can't believe everything you hear in the media. There's just been a blasting of information and, some truths, some not truths, and that everybody has their spin on what's happening, and a lot of divisiveness over what's happening. That has been going on for the last year and a half. And, it's the whole, what's the truth? Well, we've talked about this. You have to find the truth by really high tuning and fine tuning your intuition to find what is the truth, the real truth. Like we've talked about this. There's three versions: their version, your version, and the truth. Okay. Anyway, so we get out of that energy. Yay. And we go into
that's a good thing. Okay.
Yeah, we go into an energy that's more about it's earth. We're going into earth. You got to get real. You got to get grounded. Taurus is money. It's money that you earn. Scorpio is money you make from investments, such as crypto. So the fact we're seeing for a year and a half financial lunar nodal activity for everyone, it's going to bring the focus on money. And I think this is where crypto is going to really graduate and go to the next level.
And you've been talking about that this next year and a half to 2 years will be that bridge, that time where crypto is a bridge for moving the economy, or people having this opportunity for crypto being that bridge for people as the economy or the current system kind of fails, and crypto's that bridge to the future for people. So
right,
that's been a consistent message from you.
Yeah,
in that.
January is making you be more patient before you cross the bridge,
Yeah.
actually. Make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's. It's very much an internal time this month because of two planets going retrograde, Mercury and Venus. This is
Okay.
a very internal time, and people may not be getting the clear picture with the retrograde planets. Personally, people have to go back and do their inner process and do a lot of work on themselves and clearing. The weird thing too, just to throw this into the mix, and by the way, with all these, there's 4 planets in Capricorn, 3 to 4 that during this month, there were 4 and now there's 3, there's going to be 4 again. No, it's usually going to be 3 this month, actually. Mercury will go retrograde, but then we have the sun in Aquarius. So the deal is that Capricorn can be a very restrictive sign. I'm not trying to diss any Capricorns. It's a sign of karma. When we had the beginning of the COVID, came into everybody's consciousness back in January, February, March, April 2020, we had a Capricornian cluster of 3 outer planets in Capricorn, and it brought everything to the halt. We have 3 planets in Capricorn right now. So that's why there's almost like people are saying, I've heard some people predict and say, January is going to be like March of 2020. Well, I don't think that's true. I think people have awakened and they are, pretty much seeing the light in many ways, and there's awakenings going on. But the point is, we have a similar energetic with 3 planets in Capricorn that are restricting and delaying, feeling almost like a little grim. So it's just temporary, everybody. And we also have a really powerful time coming in from the Mayan calendar. If anybody studies the Mayan calendar, we're in these ascension portal days from the 30th of December 2021 to January 18th. So that is also amplifying the theme that people really need to do diligence and work on themselves. And the payoff is making money in crypto in January, February, March. No, February, March. Sorry, January is an inner month, but really doing the work you need to clear obstacles out of your consciousness so you can really see what you need to do with your portfolio. So it's a very
interesting. Yeah, my husband and I were just talking yesterday, and we're like, I feel like we're waiting for something. And we've been talking on my channel for, I guess, a couple of months now, talking about that transition from the Gregorian calendar to the Julian calendar. And January 6th is the celebration of Epiphany.
Yeah.
And Christmas in the Julian calendar is actually celebrated on January 7th. And there's all kinds of thoughts about what's happening. Trump's supposed to speak on the 6th, and that's called the celebration of Epiphany and the things that might happen. And then the claims that, Susan had said that, that would be him reclaiming that day. And so we'll see all that kind of stuff. I know we want to stick with crypto on this video, but my mind always goes to those kinds of things. So it was interesting that you brought up the Mayan calendar as well, and that we're in that transition or portal time.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, that's interesting. All these calendrical vortexes are coming together. And by the way, the Gregorian calendar, I don't know if people know the origin of it. It was agreed upon to keep people, as worker bees. It was to maintain dominance over the population. Under Pope Gregor at the Treaty of Constantinople, they decided that they were going to get rid of the Earth calendar, or what would have been considered the pagan calendar of, the solar festivals of the solstices and the equinoxes, and this basically a solar calendar. They got rid of that, and they transposed the Gregorian on the population.
Wow.
So that they could have more control. So that's
supposedly we're transitioning off of that back or to the Julian calendar, is my understanding that happened during the Halloween celebration or whatever time period. So
that's wild.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting stuff. So SL, we're glad that you're back. Do we want to jump into some coins? We've done a really good job going over the retrogrades, cycles, and just some general astrology so people can kind of understand what's going on, and some dates for people to watch coming up.
So hi, Jill.
Hi, SL.
So you mentioned earlier January 11 into January 14. Is that the lowest for market for this month?
No, I'm just I mean, I'm looking at Bitcoins. There's still going to be losses taken 1122 to 1125. So, it will go down. Interesting. No, I think that the 14th, the 14th, remember we talked about that, but I've gotten additional information, 111 to the 14th. I do think that's the lowest that it goes. It may rally after that, but it will come up. Okay. So the lowest I do think is that, but there's some more possibilities for low, but not as low as it will go. 1122 to, January 22nd to January 25th can be a little dicey too. But then there's a real pickup from January 25th through February 4th. And I want to remind people, remember, Mercury goes direct on the 3rd. And we also have Lunar New Year on the 1st of February. Lunar New Year, as people may remember last year, was an excellent date for the crypto market. Last year it was February 11th, 2021. This year it's February 1st, 2021. So there's definitely going to be some action in the first few days of February with things starting. It's like, get ready. Get ready for the ride, everybody, because there's a lot of activity in the first few days of February, which is all very good. A lot of Aquarius activity, a lot of new energy. In fact, I got to remind people, the Lunar New Year is always when the sun and moon are in the sign Aquarius, which can be yearly at the end of January or in the beginning of February. And the solar new year begins on March 21st every year, which is when the sun goes into Aries. But this year, I think the lunar new year should be a very active cycle. So that's what people are getting ready for. That's why you get the whole month of January off, basically, to work with your portfolio, move some coins around, decide, which are going to be your main go-to coins during Mr. Toad's wild ride of February and March in the crypto market.
Well, and the Lunar New Year is the Chinese New Year, which is on February 1st, and it's the year of the tiger. So get ready to grab that tiger by the tail, I think, is what we're looking at for 2022.
You're right. Giddy up. Grab the reins.
So
can you confirm with us again, Jill, the top for the market in March, and when is the major correction in April?
Okay, so let me talk about that correction first, and then we'll analyze March. But April is going to be a very kind of difficult month because it starts out with, there's a new moon on April 1st. So it's in Aries. So I think things will still be going gangbusters. Then a few days later, on the 4th, we have Saturn and Mars together in Aquarius. Okay. And that could be that could be throwing some kind of, I think, somebody asked me this, a crypto person asked me, what do you think about that Mars-Saturn conjunction on April 4th? I think it's going to be some kind of, Saturn is authority, and Mars is aggression. There may be some aggressive action taken by a regulating group or government or something to try to use that metaphor of rain again, to rein in crypto. And the first actually looks good. That new moon in April looks good. But then we get into a full moon, April 16th. And I think that's going to be when things start to like really unravel a little bit. And by unravel, I mean that the peak days of the market are behind us because we're moving into this eclipse on the 30th of April. The other weird thing around the end of April is that there's going to be Pluto retrograding starting on the 29th. So that end of the month feels very prohibitive with the crypto market continuing to flourish. In fact, I think we've talked about this. We timed out in the fall. Okay, we figured out the eclipse was the 19th of November. And I had said 2 weeks before would be the highest dates, which would have taken us into early November, like around the 4th and 5th. But I had mentioned the 28th and 29th as being very good days to take profits. And as it turned out, those were the best days, if I can remember. I think you guys can confirm that. But so that's now we're tracking 3 weeks before the eclipse. So we might want to go with that prescription of knowing that the market has hit its highest 3 weeks before April 30th. And then there's those complications with the Saturn-Mars conjunction in Aquarius limiting or trying to regulate crypto and other things in our life.
Mm-hmm. And then when does the major rally begins in March? Do you know the date?
Yeah, so I would say we all need to look at there's some fun stuff in March. We're gonna have a Jupiter Venus conjunction, which are the two benefics in astrology. So beginning of March looks really good. New moon in Pisces, okay? Pisces, is a lot of the coins have really prominent Pisces planets. Like for instance, Bitcoin has its Venus in Pisces, and Jupiter's actually sitting on it right now. We'll talk about Bitcoin in a minute because I have that a little like. There's a little interesting thing happening with it, but I think we're not going to see the benefit of it under these retrograde conditions. But there are some things being triggered in these few days right now, the 4th and 5th, that people should keep an eye on what's going on. There is something that's going to pop later in the month, but I might as well tell you what it is. So Jupiter is on Bitcoin's Venus. So there's two benefics coming together. Which we're going to actually have for everybody in the month of March. And I'll give you that date in a minute. Bitcoin had its birthday on January 3rd, so it's actually also having a solar return. And then the Mercury is coming back to where it is in the Bitcoin's chart right now. So it's also having a Mercury return. So what does that mean? It's almost like, okay, it's starting a new cycle. Doesn't mean it's going to start right now on January 3rd, 4th, 5th. But there are the indicators that when it does come back, it's going to come back big, okay? And maybe even outdo what has happened in the past. That's kind of my prediction, actually. Okay, so I'm looking in March. We're going to have, let's see, Jupiter. Okay, March, Jupiter is going to be with the planet Neptune. Oh, that's not really the prosperity thing I was looking at, but it is Jupiter is going to be moving. Oh, I know what it is. It's Jupiter with the sun in early March looks really good because we've got that new moon, and then we're going to have Jupiter with that new moon March 1st, but that goes through like this auspiciousness with Jupiter continues in the very first week of March, and then Jupiter's going to be with Mercury in the second half of March. So I'm seeing March as like a really nice energetic on so many levels. Okay, which is kind of, it's for crypto markets. It's great for relationships and romance. It's a great love vibe. People are going to be happy after, just think about it. January, Debbie Downer month, February, March, really fun months. People are going to feel like they're back in the groove. They're going to watch their bank accounts, or their Bitcoin accounts, or their crypto accounts starting to increase. But then we get another Debbie Downer month. So April is going to be a really weird, confused month. And I just want to give people that heads up. I mean, you might be able to parlay profits and into early April. And as we get closer, we'll give more precise predictions on that. But I really think that people need to take advantage of what's going to be offered up in March. And, we can break it down by coins, like March is going to be very good for Bitcoin. It's because Jupiter will be in its 8th house of money from investments. So, I mean, there's something gearing up right now with Bitcoin that we're really going to see it producing when we get into February and March. Yeah. And let's see. I have another chart here, SL, that you recommended I looked at, and I was just very interested in it. It's a Scorpio coin. It's called Panda. November 10th, 2021, 1:08 a.m. in Tucson. It's a Scorpio. It's got 3 planets in Scorpio, but it's going to benefit from this Jupiter in Pisces. So I think it's been a bit of a, I mean, it's new, obviously. It's a new coin. Is this what you would call a blue chip, right?
No,
Is it
this one
which panda
just
is
a
it?
new coin.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's a meme coin.
Inu, I-N-U, Panda Inu.
Panda Inu. Oh, it's not even on CoinGecko. Doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's new. It's not even 2 months old yet, but it should be coming into people's radar, I think, with what the Jupiter in Pisces is going to do with this chart in March. It's going to have Jupiter trine its sun, so that's one to keep an eye on. It's going to have something called a Uranus return. It goes back to where it was in November, which is kind of interesting. That's going to happen too. So that's one that maybe people should have on their radar. Thanks for sharing that astro info with me. Yeah, it looks like mid-March could be very good for this one.
Mid-March, do you know how many days should I run?
Okay, so I think it's going to be around the time Jupiter trines its natal sun, and Uranus will be coming back over. It's going to be one of these things that people are going to know about. It's sort of not as powerful as what I felt when I first heard about Shiba in May of 2021, but there is going to be something where this gets on people's radar. So when it's going to really probably jump to another level, just so people are aware of that, that would be, let's see, Jupiter's going to trine its natal sun, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th of March, 2022. Same time, we're going to have the Uranus return. Yeah, so I would say anywhere from really, let's say the 14th of March on, this one's going to get some traction. I like it. It has an Aquarian moon too. So it's got the signature, what I call the signature crypto, Capricorn, strong Capricorn and Aquarius, Venus, Pluto, and Capricorn, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter, and Aquarius. And it is a Scorpio. So even though the Saturn squares, it is a Scorpio. It won't be in March. It won't be affected. Saturn won't be limiting it. Let me just double check on that. Did I speak to the true? Yeah, by mid-March, Saturn's moved off of affliction of the natal sun. Yeah, so let's keep that 17th, that March 17th onward date.
That's very nice to know because we have been waiting.
Yeah, interesting. So let's see. I've got this chart. You know, one that you gave me, I never had the dates for, is XRP.
Yeah.
December 22nd, 2012. I've never seen the chart.
It's in the email.
Okay, December 20. I have it 22nd. I had to go double back and check because I'm like, wow, this one has been around for a while, since 2012.
Yeah.
A lot of twos. It's like a 12, 22, 12, 202 p. So that one's been under an affliction with Pluto squaring its moon. Pluto's coming over its Mars in the early part of 2022 in February and March. So some kind of breakthrough or break open with that one. Pluto's harmonizing with its North Node in Scorpio. That one may have some kind of breakthrough. I think you guys have said something about it has a legal issue. I think that's going to start getting through that piece of the legal issue.
What day in March again? Sorry.
Oh, XRP.
Yeah.
Let me see. You're having me look at. Let's see. Okay, when Pluto's going to come over, Pluto's going to start coming over its Mars in February. Yeah, and Pluto's let go of its square of the moon. I think, let's see. I think that's going to start having some traction too in early March. Because it's Capricorn sun and Pluto will get some boost in early March for sure. That's interesting. It's got Pluto conjunct the sun, but more on that. I think that one's just trying to get through. It's had a very tough situation for the last 2 years with Pluto squaring its moon. The other one that we've never looked at before, well, I think we did one other time, is Bitcoin Black.
Yeah, sure. So that one, I would like to know, the community would like to know, when will the project launch, and is this project a scam? I have my prediction on it. I don't think it's a scam.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin Black has had some obstacles thanks to Saturn. Saturn's been like squaring its natal sun all last year and is doing that as we speak. Saturn is afflicting the natal sun of Bitcoin Black. So again, that hasn't really had much action or energy. And it's going to go through a Saturn conjunct its natal moon in February, which will limit it. Let's see what's going to help that out. I mean, Pisces, Jupiter is going to help it out in early March. It seems like a lot of these are going to get helped out in early March, and then Mercury will be on its natal moon in early March. So there's some kind of, are they trying to launch a new project, you said?
So they try to launch their projects. They have been delaying for a while, and the team sort of like MIA for the past 6 to 8 months. So we trying to figure out when will it launch. Some predicted this summer, some predicted at the end of this year. So we don't know the definite date.
Yeah, okay. So Saturn, they've been under a Saturn affliction all last year. Then they're going to have a Saturn on their moon that's still not the most optimal. They could surprise everybody and perhaps launch in July when Uranus is squaring their natal moon. It could be like, hello, here we are. But I just want to make sure Saturn's going to come back. Yeah, no, actually there could be some kind of breakthrough in July of 2022 with them.
Do you know what day in July?
Let's see. Gemini, Venus will. Yeah, I mean, and Venus is going to trine their moon around this, right in the beginnings. I'm seeing around the 6th and 7th of July. If it makes it through that window, if it doesn't, then there's a bit of a, let me just make sure Mercury's not, yeah, Mercury's going direct then. If it doesn't make it then, yeah, it has to wait until Saturn goes direct, which wouldn't be until the second half of October. But then we're getting into eclipse cycle stuff. There's eclipses in October and early November. So if they don't make the first window, there's a chance they could also launch in mid-October 2022.
Okay. So based on the chart, can you tell, or does it indicate that this project is a scam or no?
Bitcoin Black?
Yes.
Well, that's a good question, because it does have like it has 3 planets in the house of hidden things, like hidden. But I would say that it probably isn't, because there's strong Capricorn in this chart, South Node and Capricorn, Saturn, Pluto. I think that the problem with this coin is that there's been some problems with the actual group, the team, that there's been squabbling and there's been, not miscommunication, but everybody has a different idea. Like, I think there's like 3 primaries and they can't agree on how to do this.
The team, very private. So as an investor, the community don't know much about the team.
Yeah, I think there's like been some, for lack of a better word, and they're based, I think they're based out of Australia, right? Or they were founded in Australia.
Yes.
Okay. I think there's been some squabbles among the primaries of this, and there may even be somebody, got let go, or there's been some problems in the internal workings of this coin, as far as the power brokers involved with this coin. There's been some issues, and of course they haven't released that to the public.
Okay, good to know that. Thank you.
So I do want to let people know there's a second group of eclipses coming, and so I think the trajectory is that we're going to see October of 2022 being very good, because Pluto goes direct on the 8th of October. But then as we get within a couple weeks so there's a time period in early October up until about 2 weeks before October 25th, where things should be really going well again after a lull in the summer. There's a solar eclipse on October 25th, 2022 in Scorpio. And then there's a lunar eclipse on November 8th, full moon. So that's going to kind of put the brakes on any of the forward movement that starts in September. Actually, September looks pretty good too. September and October. So it's almost like we're a little bit about a month behind what happened this year. So there could be a bigger rally. Let me just see. There's a pivotal date when somebody goes direct that's going to kick off. Oh, well, we do have the Mercury retrograde in September, which actually it's going to be more of a catch up, that Mercury retrograde. It won't be like the one in Capricorn that we're having in Aquarius. That's going to be kind of like, okay, now the market's going to catch up from being in a lull. And yeah, I'm just looking to see. Saturn goes direct on the 20th. Yeah, October is going to be very interesting. And as it gets closer, really, really trying to suss out when to take profits that time is going to be very interesting. Yeah, I'm just seeing October 8th as a very powerful date when Pluto goes direct. And that's like 2 weeks before the eclipse. So that will be very interesting time. Just aside, and then the new moon in October is the 9th. So there's something about those dates, 8th and 9th of October, when that might be a time when the market's very high again after going through a summer correction.
Probably we can go in more detail about the eclipse in October market in maybe next month or in April. Do you have prediction for Matic? Because I think you see that they have a really good natal chart.
Yeah, Polygon Matic.
Yes.
Let me grab that one. I've got a pile of them here. Let's sort through all our charts. And I like to print them out, you know, because instead of having them on my, well, I can't access them when you guys are up anyway. But okay, so Matic, May 3rd, 2020 in India. So okay, so they were, you know, they had some Saturn stuff. Oh yeah, this is what's up with Matic this year. They're going to have Uranus come over their natal sun, which is going to be like a surprise factor. And I always felt like that this one is going to do very, very well in 2022. So let's see, Uranus comes over their natal sun, and you guessed it, in early, well, actually, yeah, they'll still ride a little bit of a wave here in early April. They're going to have caught a lot of, like, they're riding a train, and the train is like still going really fast down the track in April. And they also have Pluto removing some major, Pluto's coming over their natal Jupiter. So that's mucho dineros in March of 2022. We're going to see Pluto-Jupiter conjunction, which is really good for financial stuff. But then they will come to a screeching halt. That Saturn will come over their natal Mars, and it's like party's over by mid-April. But that looks like it's going to really, like, surprise. There's a surprise factor with this one coming in March and April. And I think that, I mean, you guys tell me some more information about this coin, because remember, I go in pretty much cold, not knowing much about the coin, so I can have intuitive information and not make this an intellectual process, just use the astrology and intuition. But there's something about Polygon Matic getting some kind of backing or some kind of
yeah, so Matic is one that's, you know, a lot of things come out that are like the Ethereum killer, but this is actually something that helps Ethereum to scale with, you know, by lowering of fees, and it increases the speed of Ethereum. So with the things that are going on in DeFi and so many projects built on Ethereum, also the amount of cross-chain things that are going on right now, Matic is really used. There's a lot of wrapping going on with DeFi. I think people are using it for those. Let's see, I can pull up Matic's website. Let's see here, Polygon Tech. Ethereum's Internet of Blockchains. Polygon is a protocol and a framework for building and connecting Ethereum compatible blockchain networks, aggregating scalable solutions on Ethereum, supporting a multi-chain Ethereum ecosystem. So it really is a problem solver or a solution for Ethereum.
That makes sense, that it's going to be considered very valuable. It's very, the functionality of it is going to be quite necessary going forward. And I think, I don't want to say adoption, but it's going to surprise people in a positive way with how, I want to say, powerful it can be, for lack of a better word. I don't know how you would translate power into crypto lingo, but with
the security, it's very secure. They're saying, it has a low, they're saying like, okay, it's able to fully benefit from Ethereum's network effects. It's inherently more secure. It's more open and powerful. So there's the powerful term right there. They're talking about it solves the pain points associated with blockchains like high gas fees and slow speeds, but without sacrificing that security. So
security is going to become very important with the South Node going through Scorpio for the next year and a half, starting on January 19th, because Scorpio, I don't want to really put this out there into the forum, but South Node in Scorpio, North Node in Taurus. Taurus is more about security and like, having your, stuff in your safe, your money, your cash in your safe. That's Taurus. But Scorpio is more connected to hacking and things like that. And, things that are more clandestine and hidden and unscrupulous. Unfortunately, sorry, Scorpios. You guys are also very powerful healers and very, very good investors, Scorpios. But the sign itself does have the reputation for unscrupulous, secret, clandestine behaviors, which could even, relate to things like hacking cryptos, hacking some of the exchanges. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that piece about the Scorpio South Node could bring up more of that activity. That's why things like security are going to be very important with the exchanges, with people's accounts and all of that. And so if there is a coin or if there is a functionality that is going to increase security, that's going to do very well in the next year and a half.
So
Definitely.
in March and April, do you see, I think previously, I forgot how high Matic went, like $3.
Let me see.
It's going to go higher than it ever has, is what I'm getting. But I don't remember. I don't work with the actual.
Okay, so I think the all-time high was like $2.92, so it's below $3.
Yeah, 288.
Yeah, and then you said that March and April will do really well.
Yes.
So if people, some people have a really high predictions. So do you see that, like, I don't know how far you can look, but I would like to know, like, the most.
I mean, I think it's going to have Saturn trine its Venus, which is really going to solidify something for it. And that is going to be, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, up from like the 3rd, from the 3rd until like the 12th of March. Looks like some kind of solidification. And then we've got right on the 13th, we have that Uranus on the natal sun, which is, I think, the big surprise. All along, Pluto is going to be sitting on the Jupiter February and March. So, I think the surprise is that I don't want to say adopted, but I think this group wants independence for some reason, because they don't want to be assimilated or bought by something. I don't know if that's that. This polygon is going to be a force in its own right as Pluto sits on its Jupiter for the next year and two.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So they're going to become some kind of player that, I almost feel like they're utilitarian to other projects and other coins is going to be very important.
Okay, thank you for that.
So we just have a few more minutes. Do you want to touch on Shiba?
Yeah, sure.
Before
Shiba. Marsha. Shiba.
Shiba.
Okay, let's see what's happening with them. They too are going to have a strong Plutonian transit this year. On February and March, Pluto will be sitting on their Saturn, releasing some level of limitation. Let's see, early March, their Mars gets a nice boost from Saturn. Like, so what the different Jupiter, when a Jupiter transit happens, it gives like the abundance and the expansion. But when Saturn transit happens positively, it's going to give them street cred, so to speak. It's going to give them a notch up with their level of authority and status, meaning more people knowing about it and more investors. Okay. So Shiba definitely has that coming. Some restriction is being removed in February that will then allow them to go a notch up and to get, we've always talked about Shiba. I've seen them since I heard the first time, SL told me in May that I'm like, this is a big player. This is going to be very popular. There's going to be a lot of money made from it. And so that opportunity is still available now, obviously. Buy low, sell high. And I think Shiba's but Shiba, I think, will be more of, a power that takes it under its wing, so to speak. A bigger player, a bigger interest says, Shiba, you're working.
There are rumors.
Now.
Yeah, there are rumors that Amazon might partner with, or I guess SL had said that someone had predicted that Amazon would partner with Shiba. So
that's quite a possibility with this outlook of Pluto coming over natal Saturn and Saturn trying to natal Mars. That's huge. And then let's see, Saturn is also going to trine their natal Venus and North Node. Well, the Venus, not the North Node this year, that's next year, but so in the spring, when everybody, remember what we said, Shiba's going to, start taking off. I mean, I think at the end of January, like as Lisa always says, Shiba leads the charge in the crypto upward trajectories. But when April is going to be a bit of a stop the train in the tracks time for some coins, not for Shiba. Shiba's going to have a Mars sextile, a Saturn sextile. Oh, that Mars Saturn thing, remember that we're talking about in early, is actually going to help them. The Mars Saturn thing in let's see, that's going to be on the 4th of March is actually going to help Shiba. And then, because it's going to trine its natal Venus. So that's going to be weird when everybody else is getting befuddled by the Saturn Mars affliction. Shiba's going to be rocking it. Something to look forward to.
Interesting.
So, Jill, can you provide us some date in April, March? Some of the day that Shiba will rally?
Well, interesting in early April when like I said, things are, well, let's throw out some good dates for Shiba. So we're going to have some Jupiterian dates. We're going to have some Jupiter action for Shiba. Jupiter sextile, that's a good thing. That's that's around the 25th of March. That's really nice. And we're going to also have Jupiter Mercury harmony, and that will be in late March. Let's see the date. Jupiter Mercury harmony, actually early April. It's weird. I mean, I think Shiba rallies, but Shiba also gets a nice boon in April. Like, okay, so Saturn trine Venus is the 12th of April. Let's see, Jupiter harmonizing with natal Jupiter. They get a lot of nice transits in like the first, let's say, 11 days of April. That when everybody else is petered out, actually first 15 days of April. But I think that the thing that's going to really, that full moon, let's see, in April, it's the 16th. That might be when things really kind of calm down. But Shiba will, I mean, come on, if they're assimilated by Amazon, it doesn't matter what it's almost like, okay, we've sort of transcended being a crypto coin in one way, and we're having a new, birth, or we're being rebirthed in a new way. That might be what's happening with Shiba.
I
mean, it's always going to be a crypto coin, but it's like, yeah, we're not competing with the rest of the coins now. We're doing our own thing. And I've always said that Shiba has its own thing going on.
I agree with that.
Right.
It runs when the market slowly go down sometimes. So Dean, based on the chart, can you see that if there's a chance that Robinhood will list Shiba early in the first half of the year?
It could be this time in early April when there's a lot of ching, 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 nice Saturn transits, Saturn harmonized with Mars, Saturn harmonized with Venus, Mars harmonized with Mars, Mars harmonized with Venus. That's all happening. And it's all going from the Shiba's 8th house of other investors. So I think it might, that could very well happen, I would say, in early April. And as I said, I haven't really gone that deep into the astrology after April, because as I was doing my April update, as I was doing my year update, I just hit such the energy of April was just so intense that I'm like, all right, I'm only going to make it for half the year. The astrology update that I'm releasing next week is going to be from January through June the end of June 2022, and then July through December will come out maybe a little later. Maybe that will come out because April, I think, will show us some of what's happening. And again, there's these months. This year is going to be really weird in general because we're going to have these months that feel really heavy and dense, or there's a lot of stuff hitting people, and then it's like, yeah, and then it's a party, and then so it's not going to be like the past 2 years where it's like, oh, there's ominous COVID hanging over us. And by the way, pandemics have a natural life of 2 years. So all like Spanish flu, after 2 years, even the plague, 2 years. Yes, it did come back several years later, but the natural life, if it's not manipulated, is 2 years. So that's why by the time we get to March is going to be a big party because it's the 2 years since it arrived on the East Coast in a big way. And so but April, there'll be some kind of weird stuff going on. I haven't quite gotten, I think it's economic. And then I haven't gone deeper into the year yet. I still have to look at May and June. May is going to be an eclipse month. So, but then I feel like June might be okay. And then the second half of the year, the dire time will come at the end of October and early November. So I think at least we'll have a fun holiday time in December of 2022. People will be able to get on their planes and not worry about cancellations and whatnot.
Interesting. Well, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah,
sure.
Freedom. So anyway, we should leave on that high note. And thank you guys for inviting me back. Always a pleasure to be in the company of Lisa. And
absolutely. Yes, we love having you. Thank you so much. So we will see you again next month for another update. Hopefully,
things are going to be wild and wacky in February.
Exciting stuff. SL, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah. So earlier, I have a thought. I don't know how busy you are this month, Jill. Can you come back to do some more reading on some of the coin that I sent you the natal chart?
I'm not sure at this point, SL. I have to get back to you on that one. I am a little bit slammed doing lots of different things these days. So, and thank you again to all your listeners who have booked with me. I appreciate working with them. I've had the pleasure of very beautiful souls and enlightened people from your group, SL. Thank you so much. And they all know who they are. And I'm sure we'll be revisiting their charts in 2022. But I want to thank your group for that. I want to thank you, SL, for opening that portal for us all. So thank you so much. And Lisa, thank you for everything you do and putting us there on YouTube and making all these beautiful connections as well with your folks. I appreciate it. And
Absolutely. So you guys can find the links to JillJardineAstrology.com as well as Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine in the description. And then there's also a link for SL's Telegram group. This is an example of she's got a very structured Telegram group with lots of information, as well as her Patreon that you can join as well. So all that information and information of ways you can connect with me as well on in the description. So that should cover everything for everybody.
Many blessings to everybody for a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2022.
Oh, and SL's Telegram is free as well. So yes, and Happy New Year to everyone. Make sure you're taking lots of notes and using this January to make a plan. They say, work your plan and plan your work and work your plan. So we have that opportunity, it sounds like, for this January, and then we're going to have a prosperous 2022. We'll grab that tiger by the tail. So we'll see you guys. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
That's the quote for 2022. Grab that tiger by the tail. Grab that tiger by the tail.
I think so. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.